The last night of Natalie Wood. When the Coast Guard pulled her body from the cold Pacific waters that Sunday morning, America lost more than a movie star. They lost answers. Because what happened on that yacht the night Natalie Wood died, nobody's telling the same story. November 29th, 1981, Thanksgiving weekend. While most Americans were enjoying the holiday, one of Hollywood's brightest stars was floating face down in the dark waters off Catalina Island, wearing nothing but a nightgown and a red down jacket. She was 43 years old. She'd been in movies since she was 4, and she was absolutely terrified of water. The official story? An accident. She slipped while trying to secure a dinghy. Case closed. But here's what they don't tell you in that official report. 4 people boarded the yacht Splendor that Thanksgiving weekend. Natalie Wood and her husband, Robert Wagner, Hollywood's golden couple who'd been married twice to each other. Christopher Walken, the intense method actor who was filming Brainstorm with Natalie. And Dennis Davern, the boat captain who would later say he was haunted by what he witnessed that night. 4 people got on that boat. 3 came back. Saturday night, they went to Doug's Harbor Reef restaurant for dinner. The restaurant manager would later recall the tension at their table. "You could cut it with a knife," he said. Wagner and Walken were arguing about Natalie's career, whether she should focus on her work or her family. The wine kept flowing. The conversation got more heated with every glass. Back on the Splendor, the argument exploded. According to Davern's later testimony, Wagner allegedly smashed a wine bottle. Glass shattered across the deck. Natalie retreated to the master cabin. The 2 men kept drinking. Then, around 11 p.m., someone noticed Natalie was gone. Not in the cabin, not anywhere on the boat. The inflatable dinghy that had been tied to the yacht, also missing. Here's where the story gets disturbing. Wagner's first reaction wasn't panic. According to Davern, it was annoyance. "She's probably off being dramatic," he allegedly said. So they waited. They had another drink. They turned up the music so people on nearby boats wouldn't hear them calling for her. Think about that for a moment. They turned up the music while Natalie Wood was somewhere in the dark Pacific Ocean. They didn't call the Coast Guard until 1:30 a.m., 2.5 hours after she disappeared. When authorities asked why they waited so long, Wagner claimed he thought she'd taken the dinghy to shore, even though Natalie was terrified of water, even though she was wearing a nightgown and jacket, even though she'd never operated the dinghy alone before. Sunday morning, 7:44 a.m. A businessman on a nearby boat spotted something red floating in the water. It was Natalie. She was wearing that red down jacket, completely soaked through. The dinghy was found nearby, empty, bumping against the rocks. The autopsy showed a blood alcohol level of 0.14%, painkillers in her system, and fresh bruises on her body. There was a scrape on her left cheek. The medical examiner ruled it accidental drowning, but nothing about this adds up. If Natalie was trying to secure the dinghy as the official story claims, why was she wearing a heavy down jacket? Any sailor knows down jackets become waterlogged and pull you under. Natalie had been around boats her entire marriage. She would have known this. If she slipped and fell, why were there bruises on her arms and legs that looked consistent with a struggle? Why was there a fresh scratch on her face? And most importantly, if she was deathly afraid of water, why would she go out on deck alone at night, in the dark, to mess with a dinghy that was supposedly banging against the hull? Robert Wagner appeared on television days later, grief-stricken and devastated. Christopher Walken released a brief statement and disappeared from public view. Dennis Davern told the story he was instructed to tell. Hollywood mourned its fallen star. But Davern couldn't live with the lie. In 2008, 27 years after that night, he came forward with a different story. He wrote a book. He said the fight between Wagner and Walken was violent. He said Wagner was in a jealous rage. He said Natalie was frightened. He said Wagner prevented him from turning on the searchlights or calling for help immediately because he was worried about bad publicity. In 2011, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the investigation. They reclassified Natalie's death from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. In 2018, they officially named Robert Wagner a person of interest, not a suspect, just someone they wanted to talk to. Wagner refused to speak with detectives. Through his lawyer, he maintained his innocence. He's never been charged with anything. He's never had to answer the new questions under oath. Christopher Walken has stayed completely silent about that night for over 40 years. So what really happened on the Splendor? We may never know for certain. But here's the most likely scenario according to investigators who've studied the case. Natalie and Wagner had a violent argument, possibly about her relationship with Walken. She tried to leave, maybe attempting to take the dinghy to shore to get away from the situation. In her intoxicated state, wearing that heavy jacket, she either fell or was pushed into the cold water. Wagner, whether out of fear, anger, or shock, waited too long to call for help. By the time the Coast Guard arrived, it was too late. A woman died. 3 men were there, and 43 years later, nobody tells the same story. Today, Robert Wagner is 94 years old. He maintains it was a tragic accident. Christopher Walken is 81. He's never given a detailed public account of what he saw. Dennis Davern is 74. He says he'll regret his silence that night for the rest of his life. The case remains open. The questions remain unanswered. The mystery remains unsolved. Somewhere, someone knows what really happened on that yacht the night Natalie Wood died. And maybe, just maybe, someday, they'll finally tell the truth. Until then, we're left with this: a beautiful actress, a dark night, a cold ocean, and a silence that's lasted over 40 years. The end, or is it?